In 1986, Bill Cohen, Roxanne Balin, Murray Richtel, and Rebecca Bradley came together to form an organization designed to increase awareness of human rights abuses in the Soviet Union. Their concern lay primarily with Soviet Jews who wanted to leave but were repeatedly refused permission by the government, refuseniks. The situation in the Soviet Union was very difficult at that time.
Charter for all people.
For all people?
For all people. But for Jewish people is more hard.
As the small group, now known as Boulder Action for Soviet Jewry, researched ways they could help, they became a resettlement organization, bringing families and individuals out of the Soviet Union and into Boulder. Now, in 1997, drastic changes in the former Soviet Union have made BASJ obsolete. There are still serious problems for residents of the former Soviet Union, but those who want to leave are not constrained in the way they once were. This video is intended to briefly tell the story of the past 11 years of BASJ and its work, but this is also the story of the future of a thriving Soviet Jewish community in Boulder.
A lot of refugees come here to Boulder. So here in Boulder we are sponsored by local resettlement project organization which is called Boulder Action of Soviet Jewry, BASJ. This organization was established in 1986 and a lot of people, more than 200 people, more than 100 families are under sponsor of this big organization. A lot of people volunteering in this organization, and now it's matured in an effective, well-staffed organization. And volunteers work there, mostly American people are volunteers there, and we are very, very proud that volunteers take care of us. So we were adopted not only by American government, by state government, but the simple people who come to our house every day and help us in everyday life. We do need their help because they help us in everything. For example, how to pick a bank, how to sign up for telephone, how to be ready for tax reform or something like that, how to take health care, and a lot of other questions.
The program we organized to resettle Soviet Jews here had several key objectives. It was designed to achieve for every family we brought here both community integration.
Программа, которую мы создали, имела несколько целей, а именно первая цель – это интеграция людей, которые приехали сюда.
Into both the general Boulder community and the Jewish community.
Как вообще в болдерскую общину, а также в общину, в еврейскую общину Болдера.
And economic self-sufficiency and independence for each family.
А также, чтобы семья могла самостоятельно переходить на самостоятельную жизнь, каждая семья.
In order to achieve that, we needed volunteers and contributors in virtually every aspect of life in this community.
И для того, чтобы достичь этой цели, нам нужны были волонтеры, чтобы привести людей к этому.
First, and with the incredible professional help of Shirley Weiss and for most of the time, Mimi Ito, we had to train ESL volunteers / home visitors to go into the home at least once a week and to help each refugee adult learn English as fast as possible.
И я начну с Шерли Вайс и Мими Ита, которые начали программу ESL, которую позже превратили в программу посещения людей на дому, обучая языку. И я бы хотел сказать о них и что-то вручить им.
So let's have you all stand, all of our home visitors. every family who comes to this community has to learn an entirely new way of life.
А во-вторых, каждая семья, которая приезжает сюда, должна была выучить или познать совершенно новый образ жизни.
So our host families have been that guiding light in helping the very simplest things like how to make a phone call, how to ride the bus, to simple explanations of day-to-day living, how to buy something in the grocery store. And just being friends, to have someone who you can rely on, who you can call, who you can cry with as the difficulties mount and then begin to disappear. So I want all of our host families to stand and give them a round of applause.
Так как каждый из нас изучает или учится вновь жить в этой стране, помощь волонтеров нам пришлась во всем, начиная от наших покупок в магазине и том, как взять автобус, чтобы доехать куда-то и открыть счет в банке, и до того, чтобы выплакаться на чьем-то дружеском плече, потому что все, что ново, всегда страшно, и все это беспокойство нарастает в душе и превращается в наши горькие слезы. И этим были люди, которые приходили и помогали. Поэтому он попросил нас встать.
Next, we have needed almost on a daily basis since we began this program to call upon professionals in this community in almost every aspect of being a professional in order to ask them to donate services, to donate time, to donate their wisdom and care. And that includes a host of people, doctors, dentists, mental health professionals, lawyers, job and employment specialists, people that give tax advice, and you name it, employers. We've had to call upon you. And people have been willing, even glad, most of the time, and found tremendous joy in contributing their professional skills and knowledge and time. And so I would like to have all of those professionals who have donated their precious time and expertise and have helped us achieve the kind of quality of living for all of our new Americans to stand and be recognized.
Again, about our volunteers, they help us a lot, but their greatest help is in tutoring language. You know, then move to another city is very difficult, but move to another country with a lot of different traditions, customs, and even food, it's the toughest thing the family had ever experienced. But still, most of our families, I ask about them, and my family, personally, have no regret coming here, and we are not going to come back to the Soviet Union. Never, ever. We are proud to be here, that we were adopted by American people, and that we were adopted by American state, Colorado.
Be asking you 5 questions. The answers to all these questions are yes. You may raise your right hand if you wish. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States?
Yes.
That you renounce and abjure absolutely and entirely all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty of the Soviet Union and Tajikistan.
Yes.
That you support and defend the Constitution and the laws of the United States against all enemies foreign to the United States when required by the law, or perform work of national importance under civilian direction when required by law.
Yes.
So, everyone, thank you. Thank you, America. Thank you to this wonderful land that, as the Pledge of Allegiance says, one nation under God, indivisible, and with liberty and justice for all.
It is my great pleasure, on behalf of BASJ and all your friends in Colorado, to present to you this American flag. You know better than we do what this means. And you have, that's my turn. With what you have done, with what you have shared with us, you have taught us to be better Americans. So thank you.
There is no greater story of the escape from oppression than the exodus of the Jewish slaves from Egypt. In 1995, many of the Soviet Jewish refugees in Boulder experienced their first Passover Seder, where that exodus, and their own, was celebrated.
In every generation, we need to see ourselves as if we went forth to Egypt.
Хаггаdah говорит, что у каждого поколения, которое передает поколению следующему, чтобы мы знали, что мы вышли из плена Египта.
I'd like to tell you a brief story.
Я хочу вам рассказать коротенькую историю.
About 10 years ago, at my parents' home, a man who had just put in refusal for many years joined us at our Seder.
10 лет тому назад в доме моего отца человек, который был много лет косяком, присутствовал на пасхальном седере моих родителей.
We're supposed to taste the matzah and really pay attention when we taste the matzah.
Мы должны были попробовать на мацу и испробовать вкус ее, и это надо было сделать очень серьезно.
When this man tasted the matzah, he began to cry.
Когда этот человек попробовал мацу, он начал плакать.
My father said, "Why are you crying?"
Мой папа спросил, почему же ты плачешь?
He said, "I was arrested many years ago."
Он ответил, что он был арестован много лет назад.
He said I was a political dissident, but really it was because I was a Jew.
Они говорили, что я политический диссидент, но мне кажется, это было только потому, что я был еврей.
But I didn't know what that meant, to be a Jew.
Но я не знал, что это означает быть евреем.
During my first year in prison, they passed around pieces of paper that were very warm.
Первые годы моей тюрьме, моего заключения, передавали бумагу из рук в руки, которая была очень истрепана.
There were pages from Haggadah,
Это были страницы из Хаггаdah.
and I memorized every single page.
И я выучил наизусть каждую страницу.
The next year I spent in solitary confinement, and I remembered Haggadah.
Следующий год я провел в камере одиночки, и я все время помнил слова Хаггаdah.
In the third year, I sent a letter to my wife and I asked her to bring me matzah.
На третий год я написал письмо своей жене и попросил ее принести мне мацу.
I didn't know what matzah was, and my wife didn't know what matzah was.
Я не знала, что такое маца, и даже не знала, что такое маца.
brought me crackers.
И она для того, чтобы принести мне эту мацу, ездила кругом 2 недели, она принесла мне крекерс.
And when it was time, I recited the Haggadah, which I knew by memory, and I ate the crackers.
И когда пришло время молитвы Пасхи, то я читал странички из Хаггады, и я ел крекерс.
The man said, I cried because this was my first piece of matzah.
Я плакал, потому что это был мой первый кусочек мацы.
He said, while I was in prison, I learned that we had a treasure that's given to us, but only if we know it.
Только в тюрьме я понял, что у нас есть богатство, о котором я понял по-настоящему, то есть или богатство, или драгоценность, только когда я попал в тюрьму.
We are supposed to really know what it means to go from slavery, oppression, to freedom.
Мы должны понимать, каково это чувствуется, чтобы понять, как человек себя чувствует, когда он выходит из неволи на свободу.
It's our task to tell the story and retell the story and to taste the story every year.
И это наша задача – читать эти истории, пересказывать эти истории и пробовать на язык все эти истории каждый год.
For us is our children. You know, it's easier for them to be here. Children, because children, like everywhere else, they like to play ball, the same games. They teach each other how to play game from our country, from American soccer, for example, a new game for our boys and girls. But still, we decided to organize a Russian culture club. What for? Just to increase their sense of community and not to forget their Russian heritage. And when this year I heard the First Lady's words that it takes a village to raise a child, I think how that we did the right thing, that not only family, as Bob Dole said, is responsible for raising the kid, but even the whole community, the whole society is responsible for the kids and what kind of people they will be in the 21st century.
Yeah.
For me, in Moscow, maybe it's not bad. Maybe, but I don't see some perspective for my children, and I know, I understand, and I know at the same time that in any time in Moscow, like in any other countries, in Russia and USSR, maybe terrible situation, and every day. I know it, and it's reason why we come.
Having been the coordinator over 2 or 3 years, having people come my first year who didn't speak a word of English, and then being able to be my interpreter with new families the year after, and to be able to say to them, I know the first, several months, probably the first 9 to 12 months is terrible, but just wait, and it gets better. There's nothing like that. Being able to see the kids grow up in a place that's safe is also a wonderful feeling.
And just recently there was a bar mitzvah. Was that the first?
That was our first bar mitzvah, the first Soviet Jewish bar mitzvah that we've had here. And it was just incredible. I could cry just thinking about it, because this was a young man. I remember the first day he arrived, and he wasn't a young man then, he was a kid. He was 12, I guess, and he got lost. He decided he would go look around his new neighborhood, and he got lost. And everybody was worried about him and scared, and we finally found him. And he didn't know a word of English. He was just terrified, and I just worried about him, the way, a mother worries or an aunt worries. And then there he was, up at the bima, singing his Haftorah.
Please rise and join me on page 301 of the book of Hebrew. Baruch Adonai Hamborach. Baruch Adonai Hamborach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Yotzer or u'borei choshech v'seh shalom u'borei et hakol. Hamidin la'aretz u'ladarim alecha v'rachamim u'tuvo mekadesh v'chol yom tamid ba'aseh b'reshit. Ma'arabu ma'asecha Adonai kulam v'chachma asita v'lach ha'aretz kinyonecha. Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu al savach ma'aseh yadecha v'al me'orei or sha'asita Yefaruch ha'sela baruch atah Adonai yosef omaro.
His best friends that are also here at their bar mitzvah in the Soviet Union. His bar mitzvah was attacked by groups of very violent Muslim youths, and he, as well as his uncles and father, had to go to the hospital. The whole bar mitzvah was destroyed, and so to be able to see these kids come here and be bar mitzvahed in freedom, there are no words for it except that it should happen for everybody, for every Jewish kid that's there, to have the opportunity to do that.
he was born in Russia, and we came when he was near 6 or 7 months.
Near 6.5 months.
Yeah, and now he lives near 1/2 of his life in Russia and 1/2 in USA. And we brought more children book from Russia, but I'm too afraid I don't know. Will they want to leave Russia when they grow? Next week, I think Leonie can go to this preschool, and I think it's good for his to meet the USA children and to begin to learn English.
I'd like to express my assurance that former Soviet children, former Soviet young people, our grandchildren will be the builders of the bridge to the 21st century, to the next millennium. And I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very proud